Hello and welcome to the Art and Science of Living Well. I'm Lindsay Milner. Today I am going to talk about happiness, and I realised that actually I had talked about happiness back in 2019, so I thought I probably ought to have a look and see what I said in that video and see how things have changed. And when I watched that back, I thought, that pretty much sums up how to be happy. So I'm going to refer you to that video. I will post a link in the comments below, so do take a look at that as well. But I thought obviously I would add some things because 2019 I've learned a few things since then, and not least because I've actually been on a master's programme in positive psychology. So what did I learn? Well, first of all, I said in that video that this was a new science, and it sort of is a new science, but it also sort of isn't, because Aristotle was talking about how to be happy 2,500 years ago. The indigenous culture in Australia, the Aboriginal culture, talks a lot about what they call contentment rather than happiness, and I actually prefer that term, and I'll explain why a little bit further on in this video. So the reason I said it was a new science was because back in about 2000, Martin Seligman founded what he calls the positive psychology movement. And I said in the video about 30 years ago we'd been thinking about this stuff, perhaps, and I wasn't far out. You know, we were sort of 24 years, 25 years maybe, since Martin Seligman founded this positive psychology movement. However, as I say, it goes back a lot longer than that. But even if we look at sort of postmodern psychologists, postmodern humanist psychologists like Abraham Maslow with his hierarchy of needs and self-actualization, and if we look at Carl Rogers with his belief that you need to treat the whole person and to help someone to become a whole person, and his idea of unconditional positive regard, they were talking about these kinds of things 50 or 60 years before Seligman. So what is happiness? What do we mean by happiness? Well, as I say, Aristotle 2,500 years ago had kind of two different ideas, and positive psychology has taken this on board, that you have the hedonistic happiness, which is things that whilst you're engaged in them you feel pleasure, because you know they're fun things to do, and those things are important. You know, it's important that you go out to a nightclub and dance the night away if that's the thing that you find fun, that you engage yourself in a hobby, or you do some gardening, or just things that you enjoy doing just for the sake of doing them. But he also talks about what he calls eudaimonia, which is, he classifies as living a good life, practicing the virtues, being a virtuous person, being a person of good character. And positive psychology has adopted this as either psychological well-being or calling it flourishing, more than just getting by in life, more than just, managing. It's about feeling, I would say, content with your life, happy with how you're living your life. But at the same time, it is about how you're living your life on a daily basis. So I also said in that video that I was not a scientist, and I kind of am now, because the Masters in Positive Psychology is an MSc, So obviously when I've completed it and earned the title MSc, I will legitimately be a scientist. But one of the key things that I've got out of this course is a feeling that you can't sciencify human behaviour. Psychology, to an extent, has tried to seem more legitimate by doing research, by saying that we've quantified human behaviour, and you just can't do that. A couple of scientists have come up with these mathematical equations, the happiness pie, or you need to make 5 positive statements for every negative statement in order to be a positive person, and those kind of things. To me, you can't reduce human behaviour to that mathematical equation. And I was really interested to read a quote in a recent book that I've read, which I will cover in a couple of weeks' time. It's by Morgan Housel, and it's called The Same as Ever, and it is about human behaviour. But in that, he does actually say you can't, the attempt to do that has caused a lot of problems, or frustration, I think is the word he uses. And I've been saying this for a couple of years, you can't reduce human behaviour to a formula. So the main takeaway that I want to give you from the work that I've done over the past, since 2019 probably, is you've got to do the work. There's lots of things that you can do, lots of things that you can try to improve your life, but reading it and not implementing it is never going to work. If you want to improve your life, you've actually got to take the action. You've got to take the steps. And if one step doesn't work, if one strategy doesn't work for you, well, that's fine. Try a different one. The same strategies won't work for everyone. But the key things are, you need to have purpose. You need to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And you need to do things that appeal to you, do things that speak to you as things that you think are worth doing. Because if you don't think it's worth doing, you're not going to put the effort in, you're not going to make the changes that you want to make in your life, and you're not going to be consistent with it. While I was talking about what I was going to put in this video, I did talk to a fellow colleague who said that she'd found a paper which said that the commitment, the fact that you make the effort, you can actually change your behaviour. She was looking at little mini challenges to help you become more conscientious, for example. And if you follow through on these, you will become more conscientious. You can also become more extrovert if you put those efforts in. So I think the same applies. If you make the effort to do things that make you happy, to do things that are meaningful for you, then obviously you're going to improve your life. You just need to find the strategy that works for you. So that's a quick overview. I think that if you put these efforts in, if you approach being happy as a consistent thing, a habit, something that you have to do every day in order to live a good life, to live a good story, I really love that phrase, then you can build in that contentment. If you're doing things that you feel fit with your values, that are important to you, then you will have the Indigenous cultures living a good story that will help you to achieve contentment within your life. So there'll be links below to some of the books that I feel are quite useful in this effort. But yeah, the short answer is you've got to put the effort in. I am Lindsay Milner. If you want more content like this, then please do subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to give this video a like. I will see you next time, when probably I will be talking about that book that I referred to, because I thought it was an interesting read. Same as ever, Morgan Housel. That's it for now. Take care, be happy, be content, live a good life, and live a good story. I'm Lindsay Milner. Bye.